if you have email and you actually still read email, because I get email on my phone, and I was like, oh, okay, I just kind of just hit clear all and just don't hardly read any of it anymore. But email is still a thing, and people get weird things in their email. Sometimes you get notifications from banks you don't even have a bank account at. This is known as a spear phishing attack. What they're trying to do is trying to lure you into making you give them your information. It's kind of a social engineering thing. If you get an email, or maybe it's from a notification from someplace that you actually have an account at. Let's say you get an email from PayPal, say this email address was added to your account. Click on this link to fix it and check it or whatever. And if you're not careful, what you're going to do is you're going to end up giving somebody that you don't want to have access to your information access to the information. And the biggest thing is where you can find out that it's fake is because when it goes to the site, even though it looks like your site, like PayPal, for example, the link at the top will not say paypal.com. It'll say, eat a squirrel face, I just pwned your butt.com or something stupid like that. And if you type in your email and it doesn't connect, and you're going to go, maybe I typed in my email wrong. And you're going to type it in several times. And then you're just going to go, eventually just going to give up and then just forget about it. Or you just may eventually just reload the page or try to go to PayPal directly, but by that time, the damage is already done. The reason I'm bringing this up is because North Korea has been spear phishing power plants here in general. Now, apparently, North Korea has targeted American power companies for cyber attack, according to a report on Tuesday. Hackers linked Kim Jong-un's regime would target people with spear phishing emails that trick recipients into downloading malware, which is another part of it. Cybersecurity company FireEye said in a report obtained by NBC News. While there is no evidence that the hackers were successful, FireEye says American electric companies could have been targeted because of the increased tensions between U.S. and North Korea. That's very important right there. The company's findings after the NBC report in August that U.S. officials have feared that the isolated nation could launch cyber attacks on the America's infrastructure. Now, what's important about that is if you get an email and you work for this power company and you open it up and it looks like it's from your boss or whatever, and it says download the attachment, you trust your boss. So you end up downloading some software and it ends up taking over the system. This can happen to anybody. And that's very common in how some people get their computers taken over and you basically have a zombie PC. And this is a little bit different, but it's along the same lines where they can take over your computer and they can control it to do whatever it is they want. Like, for example, there are hackers out there, they take over multiple computers and they tell them attack site X, Y, or Z because we are ransoming their data, say, hey, you either give us money to unlock your system or we're going to flood your site with data and you won't be able to do anything. That happens a lot, like in Las Vegas, for example. They have a lot of bets on stuff. It's like, well, I know you have an upcoming event. You either pay us or we're going to flood your system because we've got malware on all these other people's computers and they can all attack your computer. And they could do the same thing in this instance to attack these other companies. Or they could just get in there and just monkey around with the stuff right on site. So it's a combination of both. Hey, Stranger, your thoughts?
Oh man, it sounds like a plot for a Chuck Norris movie. Yeah, but this is all I can hope is that they didn't get any important information because that would definitely suck and that would definitely leave our country. Well, I won't say open to attack, but if North Korea, who is obviously very poor, can hack us. I mean, who's to say some other country won't?
Yeah, North Korea is very poor. The fact is that they have places in the government themselves that hire out for talent, hackers or whatnot. They work directly for the government. The government is actually telling them to do a thing. And the fact is that because the government itself has access to the high-speed data where the people there don't. They don't have access to that kind of data. I mean, it's very difficult for them to get online out there because the fact is they just don't have a lot of electricity. Like, take, for example, if you look at North Korea from outer space at nighttime, it looks like there's like little chains of islands. There's not chains of islands there. Those are just how little there is for electric power in those areas there. So if they don't have power, they don't have access to the internet most likely. So it's more like a government thing at that point.
I do get what you're saying. That it's definitely the government, and that's the point I'm making. That if the North Korean government, who, at least to me is very poor, I mean, who's to say, one day a greater country than them won't do it?
Yeah, well, China, for example, they're a greater country than North Korea, and you get
They
attacked
don't like this.
all the time. Yeah, they've got attackers like out there all the time. Matt, your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. If they're doing that, I mean, it's like this whole thing with the Russia thing. About the president's the election.
Yeah.
All these other countries are starting to do things to America. We're screwed.
Okay.
Because I mean, if they could try to shut us down, our power grids, all our utilities. I mean, it's like, I don't know if you guys remember. It was probably good maybe 6-7 years ago when like half the United States was the power grid went down.
No.
It was a while back.
Are you talking like the great blackout in New York City back in the 1970s?
No. This was recently. This is probably about like maybe within the last 8-9 years.
No.
Maybe 10 years ago. I don't know. I can't remember. But it was, within the last 10 years.
I don't remember a major power outage. I mean, there was a major internet outage, but there was...
No, it was a power outage. It was on the East Coast, and it kind of went, I think, to Ohio, maybe. And they don't know how it happened.
Okay. Now that's beginning to sound... Yeah, all right. Now when you said Ohio, I'm following you. I remember, yeah, there was a number of years ago, but that wasn't because of the power grid being hacked. That was just because there was a series of events where the power just kind of got overloaded from one transfer site to the other, and eventually it knocked out several states at that point.
Okay, but I thought it was a hack or something. But
no, that wasn't a hack.
But even with all the technology that's out now, somebody could do that and knock out the power in all the United States.
Yeah, our infrastructure is very old, and the biggest problem with, especially with spear phishing attacks, especially with these power plants, is the fact is because they're mostly run by the government, as it were, to a point, or then they're technically involved with the government anyway. They can't update their computers. They are literally banned from doing so, because the fact is that when you introduce new technology to old technology like that, there's all kinds of problems, and they have to figure this stuff out a little at a time. And by the time they figure it out and they've got new computers and updates for that, then by that time there's more holes in the system again, and they just can't patch them fast enough, because like I said, they technically can't, because those patches cause problems.
Right.
But yeah, no, that event that you're talking about that wasn't a hacking event. That was just a series of events where a transformer went out, and then another one went out, another one went out, another one went out, because there was too much power coming in at one point. So that I remember what you're talking about now, but that wasn't a hacking attack.
Well, we just don't want this to happen, though.
Yeah, we definitely don't want this to happen. Definitely don't want this to happen.